Secret Invasion, Episode 1, title Revolution. And this episode is really well done put together. Now, of course, this is the beginning of the brand new event series from Marvel Studios. It's on Disney Plus. And when they first announced this, I was like, really? You're doing a Nick Fury show? Because that's all I knew about. It just came out, from a widely deadline that, there's going to be a Nick Fury show. But the moment they announced it was going to be Secret Invasion, it was like, oh, what is this show going to be? Because the big thing is, it's Civil War in the comics is very different of the Civil War from the MCU. X-Men Days of Future Past, the movie, is very different from X-Men Days of Future Past, the comic. They take elements and they take the ideas and take the title, all that kind of stuff, but they kind of do their own thing with it, right? They don't deal with the concept. And in the comics, I haven't read, but I know about this, but it's about, the big reveal was that the Avengers were Skrulls. Skrulls who were introduced in the MCU in Captain Marvel, and we've seen glimpses of more Skrulls from the end credits of WandaVision and Spider-Man Far From Home. I was like, my mouth was thinking, my ears are like, am I saying No Way Home? No, I'm saying Far From Home. But we saw, but the big reveal that Skrulls were the Avengers for X many years, and it was a big thing. Everybody was trying to figure out who's a Skrull, who can we trust, all that kind of stuff. So naturally, with the MCU and during Phase 4 and Phase 5, everyone's like, who's a Skrull? Is it that person? Who's acting strangely? Some people are thinking, some people might have, the people who die may not be the actual person, because there might be a Skrull, there might be these shape-shifting aliens. Maybe Tony Stark is not actually dead. What if Natasha Romanoff is not actually dead? They're all Skrulls. Maybe Peggy is with a Skrull Steve Rogers in the 1940s. You never know. That's what the internet was like. Also the whole fucking Mephisto thing, which I'm like, can this joke please die? And the internet's like, no, it will be a forever thing. Mephisto, the devil himself, popping up in every single fucking Marvel thing, is actually going to be the running gag. And it's like, Anyway. But clearly, from Marvel was taking a different approach. Kevin Feige and all the people behind it were taking a different approach for Secret Invasion. And it showed. It showed this. It showed through the trailers. It showed through the way that the cast was talking about it, the way people have been kind of mentioning it, how there's certain people who have read, there's certain pundits who have read the scripts and saying how different it is, and I'm like, okay, let's get ready, Secret Invasion. But then the reviews come in for the first 2 episodes and saying it's the weakest Marvel show. It's officially having a 69% of Rotten Tomatoes, aka 69% of critics are recommending it, and it's known as the weakest out of the Disney Plus shows. And I was like, it can't be as bad as She-Hulk. It can't be as bad as Hawkeye. It can't be as bad the Marvel Disney Plus shows, and I think it's also safe to say Disney Plus as a whole, they're very hit and miss. With every one division, you get a She-Hulk. But I quite enjoy Falcon Winter Soldier. I quite enjoyed Loki. I like Loki and Miss Marvel and Moon Knight. But it's safe to say these shows have been hit and miss. It's very safe to say. So you're like, 69%, okay. I mean, I'm going to cover it. I'm going to talk about the show. But it's kind of sad that I'm, going to watch a mediocre show. But I'm watching episode 1, and I'm like, what are these people snorting? What, with a high? This is actually a really good show. Already, by episode 1, I'm like, I understand the premise. I understand our villain. I understand these characters. I understand the dilemma, the personal dilemma that Nick Fury's having, where he's suffering from PTSD from the blip, to the way he had to leave Earth to a space station for since 2023 MCU timeline to wrap his brain around that he was gone for 5 years, and you just his personal dilemma, and then you got the global dilemma. Like the idea of like, how do you do the end of the world, the end of the world plot that we have seen 1,000 times in the MCU, but still able to shift gears, and it's by making it small. What happened if you had an alien invasion that no one knew about? And having the small shape-shifting aliens are able to, is an idea to able to make that a possibility. And it just makes things really engaging. I mean, here's the thing. It's not the first time we have, so far, it's not the first time that we have seen movies and TV shows having the Revolution characters who are angry or want to take over for whatever reason, and they're, by doing it and to make their stand and make their purpose, what they want to say, by blowing up stuff and by doing terrorist stuff. It's not the first time, but there's something different when you hear alien. There's something different about people who look different and want to kind of get rid of us for whatever reason. I feel like so far, like it's the whole thing where like episode 1, we just see these are people who want to blow things up and have a revolution and want to get us, want to be a Zalman Zod for Man of Steel and get rid of all the humans so the Skrulls can live. But in my guess after through episode 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, we will have more fleshed out, and maybe it's the simple thing of, because we're different, maybe it's the whole thing of like, hey, there's some certain Skrulls who don't like to shapeshift and want to just walk around in the daylight, and they feel of being different, even though they live in a world where like Norse gods exist and billionaires have iron suits, and soldiers from the 40s come out of ice and fight aliens and all that. There's still maybe that stigma, which makes me think. I'm wondering how much this show was in development, because having the Revolution. Because here's the thing, right? X-Men, Marvel now has the X-Men, right? No, actually, also officially, they get the Hulk. They have the Hulk now. 100% all the whites now, which is kind of interesting now. The only whites they don't own is Spider-Man. They don't 100% own Spider-Man. But you're going to probably do Magneto. Magneto is another Revolution story of, we're the future, Charles, not them. That whole thing. So it's going to be interesting when X-Men comes along and they do the Magneto thing. It'll be interesting how different it can be. But you know what? I wouldn't be shocked. The difference is this is a more grounded, gritty show as possibly it can be. Because so far, by one episode, like everybody reflects, like, what's the most gritty and grounded Marvel, MCU, Marvel Studios thing? And it's like everybody points to like Winter Soldier. Yeah, that makes this. By one episode, makes Winter Soldier look like Thor: Love and Thunder. Like it looks like a complete, comedic joke. And there's humor out through this episode, where there's Ben Mendelsohn's character, and he's like, I'm one of the most handsome trolls in the world. Nah, and Nick Fury's like, I've seen some, handsome swolls. You're one of the ugly ones. Oh, excuse me, that's a bit weird. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying my fact. Like, you got that type of humor out through it, and it feels really natural when it flows well out through those episodes. Just little peppers of them. But it has this ground gritty feel. And even the ending, I was in shock. I was like, oh my god, they did this thing. It's just absolute. I mean, this episode is it's able to set up the groundwork, even though there's a one fight scene that I quite like, which is just a wide. This episode by itself loves its wides. Like, there's a scene with Emilia Clarke's character, and she's part of this revolution, and she's talking to this new crew who just walked in and all that, and it's like, if you you're welcome to the fight. The fight of what? To victory. Normally, someone would just have the victory line as a mid shot, like you just cover it. Have her center and saying the word to victory or victory. But it's stick to the wide. There's an action sequence. That reminds me of Spyfall a little bit, where it's just you have a wide and everybody's kind of doing their moves, but you just stick on that wide. You just stick on it, and then you move the camera around. I'm quite like it. Even though there's a fight scene that I was like, okay, this is a little bit choppy and a little bit quick. I feel like it's that situation maybe where maybe the choreography wasn't that good. Maybe it's the simple thing of people in middle age and they're not as quick as they are, or it's just the editor felt like, oh, this is a nice way to do the action sequence. So it just felt just too quick cutting, really. It just felt boom, 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 boom. And it's just like, come on, let's just see the choreography. But all that. But talking about Emilia Clarke's character, I remember this is like a couple of years when I think it just came out that she was going to be in the show. The words were, she's playing a character that could show up in other things. So my speculation is that she's playing, like, the person she's shapeshifting is someone who is a character that we recognize. What if she's a swole? Well, she is a swole, but what if Kitty Pryde kind of came to mind, really. I won't lie. If she is someone that we know, or someone who is a big deal, the one character that kind of swung the mic out for the entire episode, that was like, oh, if she's like a big name, who could it be? I'm like, Kitty Pryde? That's my speculation. If Emilia Clarke's character in Secret Invasion is shape-shifting person, the shape-shifting persona of someone that we know. That's my speculation. But yeah, this is a thumbs up. So far, I'm really enjoying it. I really like the tone. It could be like the whole thing of, it's different. This is Andor. The complaints of people have with Andor, where people want the big bamboo explosions and the fanfare and all that kind of stuff, where Andor was kind of just stilted. It was very halted. And meanwhile, and I think this is what's happening, which is MCU, we have an expectation of what an MCU thing looks like. And then when you're trying to shift the gear so much, people go, what is this? I want big explosions. I want the superheroes. What's going on? Why I don't get it. And I think that might be a situation. It might be too different for some people, which is fine. Not everything's for everyone, but for me, by this first episode, thumbs up.